Yeah, hi guys. This video is about plague and contagion movies. So if you're not quite ready to watch a video that's a little bit close to the bone regarding the current situation, skip over this one. Watch some other videos on the channel. But I just thought I'd give you a bit of a warning before we start talking about these movies. I hope you're all looking after yourselves, staying safe, staying isolated, and doing what you need to do to look after your mental health as well. I'll see you after the video. Okay, you guys asked for it. Here is my list of plague and pandemic movies that are worth checking out. I like this one a lot. I bought it when Kino Lorber released it as a Blu-ray last year. It's based on Alastair MacLean's novel, the same guy that did The Guns of Navarone. It was written under a pseudonym, Ian Stewart, and it has a great director as well, John Sturges. There are well-chosen locations in the Californian high desert and a great cast of character actors led by George Maharis, Richard Basehart, Anne Francis, and Ed Asner. Ed Asner is on Twitter at the moment, by the way. You also get a brief appearance by James Doohan, who was Scotty in Star Trek before he cops a dose of botulinus toxin and drops dead. The titular bug is an airborne pathogen with the possibility of destroying literally all life on Earth. Someone has stolen it from a secret government germ warfare lab, and George Maharis' character Lee Barrett is tasked with finding out who nicked the bug and stopping them. This one's a solid 1960s techno thriller, and Maharis makes a decent leading man. His career might have gone much further but for the homophobia of Hollywood at the time. The Andromeda Strain is the first movie based on a Michael Crichton novel. It gives us a lethal pathogen, this one brought back to Earth on a satellite that crash lands near the town of Piedmont in New Mexico and wipes out almost everybody in the town. A team of scientists retrieve the satellite and two survivors, an old alcoholic man and a newborn baby, and take them to a top-secret underground lab called Wildfire. This one's full of cutting-edge 1971's technology, including some rudimentary touch screens, computer-guided laser beams, and robotic microscopes. It also gives us a serious female scientist, Kate Reed, playing Dr. Ruth Levitt. I like this character a lot. She's a middle-aged, sarcastic, chain-smoking virologist. It's a breakthrough for mainstream Hollywood at the time. Female scientists were more likely to be Raquel Welch in Fantastic Voyage. Having a female scientist that didn't look like the cliche of a Hollywood actress was a breakthrough. There was a mini-series remake of the Andromeda Strain in 2008, but to be honest, I wouldn't bother with it. If you ever wanted to see Kevin Spacey die a painful death of hemorrhagic fever, this is the movie for you. 1995's Outbreak gives us a miscast Dustin Hoffman as an army doctor trying to find a cure for the Mataba virus while also hunting down a cute capuchin monkey, which is the carrier of the contagion, as the monkey frolics near a town on the Californian coast. As the disease spreads, the military wants to hit the town with a fuel air bomb, but Hoffman's Dr. Sam Daniels wants to cure the bug because it killed Kevin Spacey and has infected his ex-wife Bobby, played by Rene Russo. There are some real Hollywood cliches in this one, but it does have some great scenes of how contagion spread among crowds. This is the big daddy of pandemic movies because it's the one that cuts closest to the bone of our current reality. Steven Soderbergh's 2011 movie tells the story of a pandemic partly from a global point of view, and to be honest with you, it's a tough film to watch right now. The ensemble cast is solid. Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow, who plays Patient Zero, Marion Cotillard, Lawrence Fishburne, Kate Winslet, and Jude Law playing a self-serving blogger are all solid. A pandemic starts in Hong Kong and quickly spreads across the world, killing millions and necessitating a total lockdown of human civilization until a cure is found. This is the first movie that I know of that mentions the concept of social distancing and self-isolation. It's a tight 106 minutes, and I think it will only increase in prominence as time goes on. This is a cautionary tale that predicted our current circumstances to a truly surprising degree. This 2008 Canadian horror film has a great high concept which it carries out well on a low budget with, for the most part, a single set. Grant Mazzy, played by Stephen McHattie, is a shock jock radio DJ in a small regional station in Canada. He and his support staff do a talkback show. During the progress of the show, they discover that their province is being infected with a virus that is turning people into murderous cannibals. The twist here is that the virus is transmitted via the English language. Someone or something has weaponized human speech. This one's a hidden gem. It's a tight, scary little film with a great idea and some really fine acting. It's based on a novel by Tony Burgess called Pontypool Changes Everything, which of course I'm now going to have to find a copy of. McHattie playing Mazzy is great. The claustrophobic weirdness of this particular catastrophe makes it a creepy and memorable movie. You should check it out. Ingmar Bergman's historical fantasy film is about a disillusioned knight, played by Max von Sydow, who returns to Denmark from the Crusades to find that his land is afflicted with the plague. He meets the personification of death and plays chess with him, thinking that he will live as long as the game continues. He travels through his ravaged land and sees the effects of both the disease and the complexities of human beliefs and human frailty. There's not another film like this one. It gives us a complex medieval world where fear, superstition, greed and kindness roam the land. You should see it. It's truly unique. Chris Marker's 28-minute short film La Jetée is an impressive story told mostly with still images and only a few moments of film. A man living under post-apocalyptic Paris is haunted by childhood memories of a woman he saw when he was a child at Orly Airport. Surviving scientists experiment with time travel, and the man who's a prisoner is chosen to travel back in time before World War III. He meets the woman and they develop a relationship. This movie packs a lot of emotion and wonder into less than half an hour of story told in a really unconventional way. You should check it out. Terry Gilliam's 1995 12 Monkeys is an elaboration and a reinvention of La Jetée. With a solid cast including Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, who was an upcoming star at the time, Madeleine Stowe and Christopher Plummer, it's about a pandemic that keeps the survivors of the human race living underground in steampunky squalor. Scientists send Bruce Willis's James Cole back to 1990, then 1996, to get an unmutated sample of the virus that wiped out most of the human race. The script is tight and there are some plot twists involving who's really responsible for the virus that might well have been borrowed from the Satan bug. Gilliam's talent for striking visual imagery carries it through. If you haven't seen it for a while, check it out again. These three films, based on Richard Matheson's 1954 novel I Am Legend, are spaced out over 43 years and it's worth binging them. But here's my suggestion. Watch them in reverse chronological order. Start with the Will Smith I Am Legend, which is okay I suppose, though the CG in the third act really spoils things and the upbeat ending softens the impact of the source material. Then move on to the macho tough guy Charlton Heston 1971 version, The Omega Man, which treats the affected as pasty-faced nocturnal bastards who differ from Heston's Robert Neville politically more than existentially. Living in a one-man version of a Los Angeles gated community, Heston's protagonist with his convertible and his machine guns is the middle of the 20th century version of a macho survivor. When he encounters uninfected young people, he changes his tune, but before that he's just macho to the max. The best version of this story is the first one, the 1964 version with Vincent Price, The Last Man on Earth. Made cheaply in Italy with mostly Italian actors, it's the truest version to the original book. Price's tortured, shocked, isolated protagonist, living for 3 years in his home with the memories of the plague that turned the human race into ghoulish nocturnal revenants, is a psychologically accurate portrait of a man racked with PTSD and survivor guilt. During the third act, when he finds out that he, not the infected hordes, is the monster, it's a genuine moment of horror. The Italian locations give this one an eeriness that might not otherwise have been there. It's a vastly underrated horror film. This is a low-budget movie that is framed as a documentary about how people in and around San Francisco cope with life 12 years after a plague killed almost everybody in the world. It's a nice piece of work. The writers and the crew have thought through their concepts and a lot of the implications of the scenario, and that gives the movie a grounded pseudo-realism that I really like. It also has the complexity to show that a younger generation have a different viewpoint and different priorities than the people who can remember the old world. You'll recognise one of the actors as Adam Savage from Mythbusters, playing a variation on himself, who works to keep some of the systems going for the survivors scattered around the city. It's not the most upbeat movie ever, but it does have an honesty that I admire. Here are a few more movies that I'll just mention briefly. Carriers from 2009. This is a grim little film. It has Chris Pine, Chris Maloney and Emily Van Camp in a story about two brothers travelling across America after a plague wipes out most of the population. Alfonso Cuarón's 2006 movie about a world where everybody has become infertile is a work of genius. You gotta love the world building, the direction, the acting and the script. It's striking in its visuals, and the evocation of a world that's deteriorating and falling apart is unequalled in cinema. This one's an action series which we kind of love for all of the set pieces more than a nuanced look at the apocalypse. I like it for its utter craziness. It's probably the longest movie series based on a 1996 PlayStation 1 game ever. It's also the highest grossing film series based on a video game, having raked in over $1.2 billion worldwide. Also, Mila Jovovich rocks. There are a lot more movies I could mention. There's a South Korean movie called The Flu that I want to check out. I also want to rewatch an obscure 1980 Japanese movie called Virus, which maps out the end of humanity, and I haven't watched that one since probably the 1980s. There's also Cabin Fever and its sequels and remakes, and hundreds of others. I haven't even touched on zombie movies here because I'm not really inclined to do a 5-day long YouTube video. I have cats to feed. Anyway, I hope you're all staying safe and well in your apocalypse bunkers. I'd hate to lose subscribers for the wrong reasons. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I want to see us all get through this, and I want to entertain people in the meantime. Let me know what your favourite germy movie is too, especially if it's something really obscure that I might not have picked up on. In the meantime, take care, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies, do what you need to do to get through these times, and I will catch you in a week's time.